Good evening and good morning, everyone. I welcome all of you to this online webinar on network traffic management organized by Cognitia. So, guys, in this webinar, what is the objective, what we are going to cover? So, we will discuss about load balancing. So, the kind of load balancer which we have in Azure that we will discuss. Then application gateway, traffic management, traffic manager, and front two, Azure front two. So, these are the topics which we will discuss in this webinar. So if there would be any query from your side, you can note down your queries, and at the end of the webinar, you all can raise your queries and I will give you answer at that time. So now my name is Sanjay Singh and I'm MCT Microsoft Certified Trainer. I have 11 years of experience in IT training. So I have certification in Azure administration, in Azure architecting. Apart from Microsoft Azure, I have certification in AWS Cloud Practitioner, AWS Solution Architect Associate, and Professional. Apart from AWS, I have certification in Cisco and Huawei routing and switching. So, and apart from these cloud technologies, I have certification in server technologies as well, Microsoft server technologies as well. So I have certification in MCSC cloud platform. I have certification in MCSA 2016, MCSC 2012 R2, and MCSA in 2008. So these are the certifications which I have. And now let me start with this webinar. I hope I'm audible to all of you and my screen is visible to all of you. Great. Thanks, Pankaj. So now let me start with Azure Load Balancer. First of all, we are going to discuss about Azure Load Balancer, what is Azure Load Balancer, types of Azure Load Balancer, and at the end of the session, I will give you a small demonstration on load balancer, how you will configure a load balancer and how you will associate your applications to your load balancer that I will show you. And what is the objective of configuring or using this that load balancer? So what would be the objective that we will discuss? So before going to discuss load balancer, we need to understand the architecture. Whenever you are going to design any architecture or you are going to give a solution to your customers, you need to give a highly available and scalable solution so that your customers requirement will fulfill. Now if we need to a provision of we have to deploy any web server or web application into a cloud platform, so what would be the solutions and how you will deploy or provision those applications? So there would be a single server application which you can host. That means you can use a VM into Azure, which would be infrastructure as a service here, where you can install and configure your application. So now this would be a single point of failure. That means your web application, your DB, everything is configured on this single host. So this would be a single point of failure. If this VM goes down, that means your services will be down in that case. Now we need a solution so that we make a highly available application and there would be a fault tolerance. Fault tolerance also would be there. So what we can do, we can create multiple instances of our application and we can distribute our traffic to those instances. So for distributing traffic to those instances, or you can say routing your traffic to those instances, you will use some networking components in Azure, which would be load balancer, application gateway, or traffic manager, or front end. So which depends on your condition and they have different functionality, so which we will discuss and you all would be able to understand the difference between load balancer, application gateway, traffic manager, and front end. Now if you have to design a highly available environment, highly available solution for your customer, what you will do, you will create multiple instances in your region. Again, this would be a, when we are discussing about load balancer, so this would be a regional service. So what you can do, you can create your instances, that means VM1 or web server 1, 2, and 3. So they all will be placed into a region. So might be they will be in a single AZ, single availability zone, or they would be in multiple availability zones, or might be these VMs would be part of a VM scale set. Doesn't matter. So what you can do, if you are using VM scale set, or you have a distributed environment where you have created multiple VMs, now you want to distribute your traffic to those VMs. What you can do, you will use a component here, which would be a networking component in Azure, which is known as load balancer. So load balancer you will attach here. There would be a front end in your load balancer. Now we have two kinds of load balancer in Azure. So first one is internal. Second one is public. So public means which would be publicly accessible. So anyone can send their request to public load balancer. Internal would be accessible within your VNet, or this could be accessible from your on-premises as well if you have a hybrid connectivity through VPN gateway or through Express route. So you would be able to access your internal load balancer within your environment or within your hybrid environment. So that is totally up to your configuration. But whenever you have a public load balancer, so there would be a public IP address which would be associated on your load balancer, which is known as your front-end IP address. So now here we need to understand, whenever you will compare this load balancer configuration in Azure as compared to AWS. So whenever you will create a load balancer into AWS, so you will get a public DNS by default in AWS, but here in Azure you will get a IPv4 or IPv6 address on your load balancer, correct? Where you can use custom DNS for routing your request, your DNS request to your load balancer. So you can use custom DNS, otherwise there would be a public IPv4 address which your users will use to send requests. So your users will send requests to your load balancer, and your load balancer will distribute that request to backends, which would be your VMs. Now, whatever request your load balancer is getting, there would be by default a rule, which algorithm which is configured on your load balancer, which is known as round robin algorithm. So in as per round robin algorithm, what your load balancer will does, it will route your request evenly to all connected endpoints. So that means if there would be request 1, 2, and 3, so request 1 will be sent to, let's suppose, server 1, request 2 will be sent to server 2, request 3 will be sent to server 3. That is known as a round robin algorithm, and your load balancer will distribute your request evenly to backend connected backends. Later what you can do, you can create a session persistent connection, which is known as sticky connection, which you can configure. So which is also known as 5-hash tuple rule in load balancing, in Azure load balancer, where you will use customer IP address, customer IP and port, destination IP, destination port, and protocol. So there would be 5 components which you will use to create a sticky connection. So customer or client who has sent a previous request, if the same IP address is coming to your load balancer, so your load balancer will send the request to the same backend resource or backend server which has resolved the previous query, which is known as sticky connection or connection persistence. That is known as connection persistence as well. So which you can configure through 5-hash tuple rule. That is totally up to you what method you are going to use. You can use client IP address, you can use client IP and port, you can use client IP port and protocols, you can specify destination IP and destination port and protocol as well into your rules. So now let's move to our slides. So there would be a front end, as I told you, on your load balancer, which would be the entry point for your users, where your user will send the request. So that is known as front end. So this could be a public IP address, this could be a private IP address. It depends on your kind of load balancer. So if your load balancer would be a internal load balancer, so this would be a private IP address. If your load balancer is a public load balancer, so this would be a public IP address in that case. So totally up to your requirement. So you can distribute your traffic, inbound traffic, to your backend resources using load balancing rule or health props. Now, what is health props? So resources which will be connect to your load balancer. How your load balancer will know that these resources are healthy, where I am distributing my traffic, which is coming from outside. So your load balancer use health props, where it will use TCP or HTTP or HTTPS protocol to check the health of your backend, which you will configure. So as per your configuration, it will check the health of your connected resources, backend resources. So if any resource, if any server is unhealthy, your load balancer detected that this server is unhealthy, so this would be removed from backend pool, and whenever this would be healthy, this will be added into your backend pool. So if your resource is unhealthy, your load balancer will not distribute any traffic to that particular backend server. So you can use both inbound and outbound scenario. This load balancer, as I told you, internal or external. So there are two types of load balancer, public and internal. Now, if your load balancer would be a public load balancer, so you can configure your load balancing rule where you can specify your port. That means whenever any traffic will come to your load balancer, how your load balancer will understand that which protocol or which port number will be entertained by your load balancer. So this configuration you will specify into load balancing rule. You will tell your load balancer that this is the port which you have to entertain, which you have to listen. So as per your configuration, this could be a HTTP or HTTPS. So that port which is specified by you into your load balancing rule, that port will be listened by your load balancer, and those requests will be listened by your load balancer. And as per the configuration, your request will be distributed to your backend resources. Now, there would be a possibility that you are using a multi-tier architecture, multi-tier web architecture, where you can use public and private load balancer. So, which is again, it depends on your application requirement and as per your organization requirement. So there could be a multi-tier environment where there would be a web tier, or let's suppose we are going to configure two-tier environment, web tier and DB tier. So now in my DB tier, I have, let's suppose, 3 virtual machines. And in my web tier, I have 3 VMs. So there would be an internal load balancer which is required here. So which will be connected with your web tier and your DB tier. So requests which is coming from your web tier instances, those requests will be distributed to your DB tier instances through your internal load balancer. There would be a public load balancer which would be front end for your web tier, and your web tier instances will be connected to this load balancer, and there would be a front end IP address. So your all requests from the globe that will be sent to front end IP address of your load balancer or to your custom DNS. So your load balancer will listen the rule, which would be port 80 or port 443. So if any request which is coming for port 80 or port 443 as per the rule which is configured by you, that will be distributed to your backend servers. So this could be an environment, this could be architecture for two-tier load balancer environment. Now, whenever you are going to distribute your traffic through a port number 80 or 443 or public or private, so we have SKUs, which is known as store keeping unit, or you can say license type for your load balancer. So we have two kinds of SKUs here for our load balancer. And this load balancer, which we are discussing here, Azure Load Balancer, this works on OSI layer 4. So that is a layer 4 load balancer. So what it does mean by lower layer 4 load balancer? So services which use port protocol TCP and UDP. So this will route the request, this will distribute the request for the services which are using TCP and UDP protocol. Correct. So it will only route the request for TCP and UDP protocols. And it's a standard load balancer, or you can say legacy load balancer, which is available into Azure. Now, here, So we have two SKUs, as I told you. One is basic and second one is standard SKU. So now there is a difference between basic and standard. So if you are going to use basic SKU in Azure for your load balancer, so where you can connect your backend resources, that means these VMs which you are going to connect with your load balancer. So what would be the source? The source would be your availability set. That means your VM should be part of a single availability set. Then you would be able to add your VMs as a backend into your load balancer. I will show you in my demonstration. And your VM should be part of a VM scale set. So your VM should be part of a single VM scale set, or they should be part of a single availability set. Then you would be able to add your VMs, and you can add 100 up to 100 instances in basic SKU. Now, if you are going to use standard load balancer, so in standard load balancer, you can associate your backend servers, which would be from availability set or from VM scale set or from a VNet. So any VM from your VNet, they will be part of your load balancer. If you are going to use standard load balancer, you can add up to 1000 VMs to your load balancer. So this is the limitation for standard and basic SKU. So as per your requirement, you can associate your servers and you can pick a SKU, just because whenever you will choose a standard SKU, so there would be a high pricing as compared to basic. So now health props which you will configure here. So you can configure your health props by using of TCP. So it will use ping to verify your health props or connectivity of your availability of your backend servers, or if you can use HTTP, so it will check the default path of your web application HTML file, and it will check the health of your web server through HTTP port as well. So that is totally up to you how you are going to configure your health props. Now, next thing, or the part which is known as here, which is an added topic here, or advanced topic here, that is known as NAT. So now resources or backend servers which are connected to your load balancer, like these VMs, which are connected to your load balancer. So might be there would be no public IP address assigned to your backend pool or backend resources. There would be no public IP address assigned to them due to compliance rule. So as per compliance rule, I'm not going to associate any public IP address to those VMs. So if there would be no public IP address, if in any case I need to access of console of those VMs, so how can I access those VM console? So there are two options which I can use here. Option one is I can use here Azure Bastion. So through which I can access my VMs console on browser with SSL, or in that case I need to additionally configure Azure Bastion, and there would be a additional pricing for Azure Bastion for accessing console of my those VMs. Or what I can do, on my load balancer there is already a service which is known as NAT, which is available on my load balancer, so there would be no extra charges for this. What I can do, I can enable NAT for my backend resources. So I can configure here custom ports for RDP and for SSH, or whatever port you want to enable into NAT load balancing. You can specify your port and protocol, and as per your port and protocol configuration, you would be able to access your VM console securely through NAT service. That is also available, and you can configure that in load balancer. Now let's move to our slides. So public load balancer, we can configure internal load balancer. So internal load balancer will be connected to your DB tier, and your resources which would be in your web tier and DB tier, the request will sent to distribute through your load balancer, where your listener port would be 1443 in case of SQL database. Similarly, next component or next service which we have here, that is known as Azure Application Gateway, which is more advanced distribution service, network distribution service, as compared to load balancer. Why this is more advanced? Just because now if you have pools of servers which is responsible for different path or different services for your web application. Now what it does mean? So it means like you have a scenario where you have a pool for images and you have a pool for videos. So where you have two servers for which is responsible for image distribution, and you have two web endpoints which is for video distribution. Now here, if you have this kind of requirement where you need to route your request for image pool and for your video pool, so through standard load balancer or through Azure load balancer, you cannot route your request like this, just because your standard load balancer use only round robin and you cannot configure path-based routing and or URL-based routing on your standard load balancer. So in that case, your requirement will be failed. Your solution will be failed if you are using a standard load balancer. So now what would be the next option or next service which I can use to route my traffic? So what I can do, I can use here application gateway. So Azure application gateway, which I can use here. I can connect my all endpoints to this gateway, and then I can configure my listener rule, load balancing rule, and front-end configuration, which would be my IP address, public IP address. So front-end IP address would be there on my application gateway, and I can do path-based routing. So if my URL is like www.xyz.com, so if any user is requesting for or any user is sending a request to my images, so you will configure this request, you will configure a rule into your application gateway that if your gateway is receiving any request for this URL, so this would be sent to this backend. You can configure that. Or if your load balancer is getting a request for application gateway is getting a request for videos URL, so this would be sent to this pool of server. So this kind of setting you can do on your application gateway. There are lots of more features, advanced feature which you can enable on your application gateway, which I will give you few examples. Like auto scaling you can configure here. Zone redundancy would be there, so that means you can place your application gateway into multiple AZs, multiple availability zones. So this would be a highly available or scalable solution for your application gateway. So if your one data center goes down, still your users would be able to send requests to your load balancer from different data center, different availability zone. You can use web here, web application firewall, so which you can enable here. So there are some SKUs on your application gateway like standard v2 web or web v2, which depend on your totally on your requirement. So for security reasons, you can enable web application firewall on your application gateway, which is internally available here. You have to enable this, and there are two modes for enabling this web application firewall: detection and prevention, which would be totally up to you. And this web application firewall use OWASP rule 3.1, 2.2.9 and 3.1, through which it will prevent from most common exploits or SQL injections, cross-site scripting. So it will prevent from those kind of vulnerability actions. So if you will enable web application firewall on your application gateway, you can configure SSL and TLS offloading. That means you can terminate your request. Let me show you. Let me move to my slides. Now this would be the architecture where you can see. So user will send a request through browser to your application gateway. On your application gateway, there would be a front-end IP address, which would be your public IP address, which would be associated here. Now, application layer, application gateway, as name state, this works on OSI layer 7. So if it works on OSI level 7, that means it will entertain two protocols, which would be HTTP or HTTPS. Correct. So now you will configure a listener rule inside your application gateway. That means which protocol will be listened by your application gateway. So as per your listener rule, this request will be sent to your rules section. Now there would be a rule. So as per the rule, might be there would be your backend resource would be from Azure VMs, from VM skill set, or from on-premise servers, or there would be a app services. That means PaaS solution, PaaS services. So there would be app services, your web application, which is hosted on a app service. So this could be also your backend. So now how your application gateway will understand where to route this request, which is coming from your user. So this thing will be configured into rules setting. So you will configure a rule in which you will specify that this would be my listener protocol, which would be HTTP or HTTPS. If I'm getting this request, if I'm getting this particular path, so I can route my request to, or my request will be routed to this VM group, or to this VM skill set, or to my on-premise server web applications. So just because your application gateway supports VMs, Azure VMs, VM skill set, app services, and public prefixes, public IP prefixes. So if it supports public IP prefixes, that means you can use IP addresses, public IP addresses of your on-premise server, and you can configure a rule here into your application gateway. So your request will be routed to your on-premise servers as well through your application gateway. That you can do through application gateway. Now, what is the meaning of SSL and TLS offload or termination? It means whatever request is coming from your user. So this will be secure at the application gateway level. Correct. So there would be SSL configured here. There would be a SSL or secure certificate will be signed certificate will be configured here, applied here, and now this communication from user to application gateway. This would be an encrypted communication. Here your SSL certificate will be terminated, and from your application gateway to your backend resources, this communication would be unencrypted communication. So you can do that, and also that is also available on your application gateway. Your application gateway supports SSL termination, so which you can use here. You can do URL based routing, which we have discussed here. You can do multi-site hosting as well. So that means if you have site like www.xyz.com, or if you have a site www.abc.com, so you can do multi-site hosting on same application gateway. Up to 100 sites you can host on your application gateway. Through your application gateway, you can bind up to 100 websites. So that you can do here, you can do HTTP redirection as well. So that means the request which is coming here, HTTP request, they all will be redirected to HTTPS. That you can configure to ensure a secure or encrypted communication. You can enable, you can redirect your all HTTP requests to HTTPS. Session affinity is there. That means sticky connection. So what you can do, you can enable a cookie-based session affinity through which your user sessions will be maintained to the same server. That you can configure on your application gateway. You can enable this setting as well. You can, your application gateway supports WebSocket, or you can say HTTP2 protocol. So on the same port 80 and port 443. And connection draining is there. So if you are planning to update any instance, any backend resource, so what you can do a graceful connection training. So in that case, if there would be any active connection would be there, so your application gateway will wait for that connection termination. Once the connection will be terminated, it will remove that web endpoint from your pool, backend pool. That is known as connection training. You can configure custom error pages on your application gateway. You can rewrite your HTTP headers. So these are the features which we have on our application gateway. So as per your requirement, If you need advanced routing mechanism, so you can use application gateway. Again, application gateway works on layer 7. You can do multipath routing, multi website hosting. So this support by your application gateway, you can do SSL termination, WebSocket, HTTP2, those are supportable on your application gateway, session affinity, and connection training. All these are supportable on your application gateway. So if you have that kind of requirement, you can use application gateway. And you want to secure your application, so you can use which web, you can enable web as well on your application gateway, so which will prevent from SQL injections. It will use OWASP. So through OWASP there are pre-configured rules which will prevent from most common attacks like SQL injection, cross-site scripting. It will prevent from DDoS attacks as well. So but here we cannot specify a rate limit, okay, on our application gateway. That means we cannot specify like this would be the number of requests from one user per minute, 10 requests. That kind of configuration we cannot do on application gateway. So where we can configure that kind of request, so we have another service which we'll discuss later. So application gateway routing, so path-based routing you can do, or multiple site routing you can do. So there could be multiple sites which would be for Contoso or for Fabricam. So you can configure this into your application gateway, or you can enable web application firewall. Now in path-based routing, there would be images and videos, server pools. So you can route your requests as per the rule is configured into your application gateway or into your web application firewall. So that is up to you. You have to configure a rule for path-based routing and for multi-site routing. And as per your configuration, it will route your request to respective backend pools. So these are the components. So there would be a front-end IP address, listener, routing rules, backend pools, web application firewall, which is optional. That means you have to enable. If you want, you can enable. Health props would be there, which will verify the health of your all connected backend resources. Next topic is Traffic Manager, Azure Traffic Manager. Now, what is Azure Traffic Manager and how it is different than Azure Load Balancer and Azure Application Gateway? So, Traffic Manager means what? Now, here you can see we have discussed about Load Balancer and Application Gateway. Both are a regional service. Both are regional resource. Regional resource means if your application or your backend resources would be in East US, so you have to configure a application gateway into East US, and all these would be configured into East US only. So if you have a server and endpoint into West US, you cannot add that resource into your application gateway. So it means this is a regional service. Now, what if I have an environment, a highly available environment, as my applications are distributed across multiple regions, and I need to distribute my traffic to all the endpoints which would be in different regions. So how can I achieve this goal, and which service I can use into Azure? Just because in Azure, if I'm going to use load balancer, that is also a regional service. If I'm going to use application gateway, that would be also a regional service, so which will not fulfill my requirement. So if I have application environment or an environment where I'm using multi-region web applications, so applications which is from US East or US West, so let's suppose US East, or one application is hosted into Mumbai. So, and these are the endpoints. So now how can I distribute? Now that is my URL www.xyz.com. I need to distribute my traffic to all the endpoints which would be in different regions. So in that case, what we can do, we can use Traffic Manager service, which is a global service in Azure, and it works on DNS. So that means this works on DNS layer, and it uses DNS-based request. It uses DNS, it entertain DNS-based request. So any protocol, it supports any protocol, TCP, UDP, HTTP, HTTPS, it supports any protocol, correct? And it will route your request through DNS. So there would be a DNS name associated to your traffic manager. That means there would be no public IP address you will get. There would be a public DNS name, and users have to send request to your public DNS, or what you can do, you can use your custom DNS as well here. So if you're using custom DNS, so which would be www.xyz.com, so your users are sending this request to this URL, and your traffic manager will distribute this request to your connected endpoints. Now, what is the advanced feature which we can use in traffic manager? So we can do a routing here. There are lots of routing algorithms which we can use here. So I'm going to give you few examples of routing algorithms through which you can understand how traffic manager works. So you can use priority based routing. That means there are 6 routing algorithms which you can use here. So first one is priority based. What it does mean? We can assign priority to our backend servers which are in different regions. Correct. So that means for this pool might be let's suppose priority would be 1, and for this pool priority would be 2. So the pool who have the least number means have the highest priority in traffic manager. So your request will be, all the requests will be sent to this endpoint initially. Correct. If this endpoint will be down, your traffic manager will do health checks as well. So if this would be down, this request, all the requests will be sent to your second least priority pool. That is called priority based routing. Number 2, which is performance based. Now, what is the meaning of performance based? Performance based means now every endpoint have some latency. Correct. So what traffic manager will do, if you have configured priority performance based routing into your traffic manager, so it will maintain a performance table here, in which there would be a latency will be added into this table for all the endpoints which is configured into your traffic manager. So let's suppose for East US there's a latency which would be like 70 milliseconds, 17 milliseconds, and for Mumbai region latency would be, let's suppose, like 50 milliseconds. So it will automatically maintain your latency table for all the global endpoints which is connected to your traffic manager. Now, as per the latency, least latency endpoint, all the requests will be sent to that endpoint to increase performance. Correct. So your user will not face any performance related issue. So you can configure performance based routing in that case. Number 3 would be weighted based routing. In some case, what you want, let's suppose you want to distribute traffic evenly, or might be in future you will add some more endpoints. So now you want to distribute your traffic, or most of the traffic to your old endpoint and few traffic to your newly added endpoint, so that you can troubleshoot, you can monitor your traffic and performance of your endpoint. Once this would be monitored and verified, you can route your all traffic to that endpoint. So if you have this kind of requirement, what you can do, you can use weighted based routing, where you can assign a weight to your endpoint, which would be an integer from 1 to 1000. Let me give you an example. So let's suppose this would be my first endpoint where I have assigned a 50 weight, and this would be my second endpoint where I assigned a 50 weight. So if on both endpoints I have assigned 50-50 weight, so my traffic manager will distribute my request evenly to both endpoints. What if I'm assigning here 70 and 30? So 30% request will be sent to this endpoint and 70% request will be sent to this endpoint. So endpoint who have the highest weight, most of the requests will be sent to that endpoint, like 70. So 70% requests will be sent to here, and 30% requests will be sent to this endpoint. So if you are going to add or remove endpoints into your traffic manager, you can assign weight to your web endpoints who will entertain most of the requests. So that you can do in weighted based routing. Then we have routing which is geolocation based. So let me move to my slides so you would be able to understand. Azure Traffic Manager. So user will send a DNS based request. So which would be a recursive DNS based request. So your DNS, your Azure Traffic Manager will understand this request and it will respond to that DNS request. So as per the configuration, as per the routing and mechanism which is configured by use, your traffic manager will send request to your connected endpoint. And there would be a health check which is done by your traffic manager to verify the health of your all connected endpoints. So that is the basic configuration of Azure Traffic Manager. There would be a failover, so which you can configure, and it will automatically detect or failover. It will detect the health of your unhealthy endpoint, and it will automatically fail over to healthy instance or healthy backend pool. So this action will be taken by your traffic manager automatically. So it will automatically fail over to the healthy backend pool. So these are the routing algorithms. You can see here there are 6 routing algorithms: priority, performance, geographic, weighted, multi-value, subnet. So here you can use a geographical. So in geographic, you can specify that request which is coming from East US, or the user who is sending request from East US. So that will be sent to only East US web endpoint. So that you can configure that into geographic based routing algorithm. You have weighted, which we have discussed. You can use multi-value, in which you have endpoints which you have IPv4 and IPv6 based configuration. So you have multi IP configuration in your web endpoint. So it will automatically detect requests which is coming for IPv4 or IPv6, and as per the configuration, it will send the request to those endpoints as per the IP address specified. Subnet, so the subnet source subnet or subnet range which is specified by you as per the configuration, it will route the request to that respective subnet. So that is totally up to you how you are going to route your request. You can use your app services and your instances to route your request through traffic manager with DNS request. Now distributing your network traffic, so there is a comparison between load balancer, application gateway, and traffic manager. So now your load balancer works on layer which use TCP and UDP protocol. Now backends, what kind of backends you can associate with your load balancer? So you can use Azure virtual machines, Azure VM scale set. For application gateway works on layer 7 and it entertains HTTP, HTTPS, HTTP2, WebSocket, as I told you. And resources would be your virtual machines, VM scale sets, Azure app services, any public IP address and host name you can specify or you can use for adding your resource into application gateway. Traffic manager, so this would be a DNS resolver, DNS resolution. Next and last topic, which is Azure Front Door. So next we have a service here which is known as Azure Front Door. Now, if you are going to route your request or you are going to distribute your request globally, securely, and with performance, with high performance. So what solution we have? Like through traffic manager, we can do only a DNS based request we can route, and we have some routing algorithm. But if we need to do path-based routing, and our services are global services, so in that case, we cannot use application gateway. Now, in Azure Front Door, we have features of traffic manager as well as application gateway. That means we can do path-based routing, we can do multi website host based routing, and we can configure routing algorithms like priority, performance, weighted. So all these we can configure into Azure Front Door, and that is a global service here in Azure. So if you have your applications which are placed or provisioned into multiple regions and you want to distribute your traffic to those endpoints, so in conjunction with Traffic Manager or Application Gateway, you can use Azure Front Door. If you have application which is a global application, so now Azure Front Door, so you can see here my application which would be in different regions. So first application is in US East 2, and second application is second region by Central US for my web application. So how I will distribute my traffic? I can use Traffic Manager or I can use Azure Front Door. So if I'm using Traffic Manager, so I'm limited for that means I cannot apply web application firewall. I cannot do SSL termination. So there are lots of things which I cannot do on through Traffic Manager. Azure Front Door, which supports, which works on layer 4, and it supports HTTP and HTTPS based request, which is my main objective. So if my objective is I need to distribute my request to my global endpoints which is in different regions, and my traffic is HTTP or HTTPS based, where I need to apply web application firewall and session affinity, and I need to use multipath routing, multi-site hosting. So Azure Front Door would be the solution. And as Microsoft has point of presence 60 POP locations, and which is using Microsoft backbone network, so your it will Azure Front Door will increase the performance of your web application as well through caching. So you can enable caching as well, so users who are requesting to your web endpoint, so their content will be, your static content will be cached to your POP locations, to edge locations like CDN. So which will increase performance of your web application in that case. Now, increase application availability and with smart health props. URL routing you can do, multi-site hosting you can do, session affinity is there, TLS termination is there. So custom domain and certificate management, that means you can use custom domain and you can implement your certificates as well. URL redirection is there. What it means by URL redirection, that means you can configure URL redirection for if your request is www.xyz.com. So if your user is sending this request to your front door, so this would be redirected to xyz.com slash like docs or images. So you can redirect your request to this particular URL. So as per your requirement, you will configure this. So you can do your URL redirection, you can rewrite your headers, and it supports IPv6 and HTTP2 based traffic as well. So that means Azure Front Door have the capability of traffic manager as well as the application gateway. So, and again, it's a global service in Azure. So if you have regional component, regional backend, regional resources, you can configure application gateway with web application firewall. Otherwise, if your services are distributed into multiple regions, so you can use Azure Front Door, and you can use Azure Front Door with congestion with application gateway as well. So in your first region here, you can see in this region there would be, if you have multiple applications, you can use application ASG here, application gateway, and you can use ASG here, which you can connect with Azure Front Door. So this could be also environment which you can use. So now that is a brief introduction about all these networking components. So now let me give you a small demonstration on load balancer. So you would be able to understand how load balancer distribute request to backend resources. So I'm going to my portal, and then we'll do the question answer. I will take your all queries. So that is my portal. I already have here two web servers, which is already configured. Let me show you on virtual machines. So I have two web endpoints, web 1, web 2. So which is in the same region, US. As I told you, load balancer is a regional service. So that means they should be in the same region. And my both VMs are part of a single availability set. So I'm going to use basic load balancer, which is free. So I can show you a demonstration through basic load balancer, and basic load balancer is free in Azure. So let's do one thing, go to load balancer. So search load balancer from your portal. click on add. You need to select your resource group in which you are going to place your load balancer. So I'm going to select my existing resource group where my VMs are configured. Name, so I'm going to use here LB1. Let me check. So this name is available here. Reason, so reason I'm going to use EastUS. You need to select same reason. Type, so there are two types, internal and public. So I'm going to use here public load balancer. SKU, so SKU, I told you there are two SKUs, basic and standard. If you're going to use basic, that means you can attach your VMs from a single availability set or from a single VM skill set. So as basic is free, so I'm going to use here basic. So as we have selected public type of load balancer, so we need to create a public IP address, or if you have already a existing public IP address which is free, so you can use your existing one. So I'm going to create here a new one. So let me give a name here, PIP1. So now SKU would be basic for public for this public IP address assignment. IP address assignment would be dynamic. Now IPv6, so I'm not going to use here IPv6 right now, so this would be no. You can assign tag to your load balancer, which is optional right now, so I'm not going to assign this any tag right now here. You can review your load balancer configuration and then you can create your load balancer here. So let me click on create. So this will take 1 to 2 minutes to complete this deployment. So public IP address is assigned to your load balancer, which is created here. Now that deployment is done. Now go to your resource and we are going to configure this load balancer. Correct. So now you can see here there is no backend pool, that is no resource is associated to this load balancer. There is no health prop is configured to this load balancer, and there is no load balancing rule. So load balancing rule means which protocol will be entertained by your load balancer. So health prop means how you are going to verify health of your backend resources and backend pools, your backend servers. Scroll down. So first of all, front end. Front end is already configured, which is your public IP address. So which is associated to your load balancer. So you don't need to configure front end right now. You have to configure here backend pools. How you will configure? There's option, click on add. Now name, so name would be pool 1. Now what would be your virtual network? So you have to select your VNet. So in my case, my VNet is this. Now protocol, so as my VMs are using IPv4 protocol, so I'm going to use IPv4 associated to, click on drop down, virtual machine or virtual machine skill set. So if you will select virtual machines, so your VM should be part of a single availability set. Otherwise VMs, again VMs which would be in EastUS in same resource group, doesn't matter, in same virtual network, if they are not associated to the same availability set, you would not be able to attach those VM to your load balancer. So that's why my VMs are part of a same availability set. So I'm going to select here virtual machine, scroll down, you need to click on add, and then you can see here availability set option is there. So my both VMs is associated to same availability set. So let me select my both VMs, web1, web2, click on add and scroll down, select your resource, click on add. So these endpoints would be added into your load balancer. Which is done here. So you can see you have pool 1 here. You can add multiple pools here in which you have multiple backends. For that you can configure multiple front-end IP configuration and you can route your request to multiple backend pools. Now health props, how you will verify, how your load balancer will verify the health of your connected endpoints. So we are going to configure this health props. name. So name I am going to use here prop1. Protocol, which protocol you are going to use. If you will use TCP, it will do a ping based health check. If you're going to use HTTP, so it will check the default path of your web application. So I am going to use here HTTP. So this would be the protocol and this would be the path, default path I'm going to use here. This would be the interval after every 5 seconds. If your load balancer will receive 2 consecutive failures, that means your endpoint is unhealthy. So that is my health prop configuration. Let me click on OK. So this would be added here. Once this would be added here, you would be able to configure load balancing rule, in which you will specify the protocol which your load balancer will listen. Now that is done. So let me go to my load balancing rule here. Click on add name. So this would be rule 1. Which version you are going to use here? I'm going to use the IPv4. That is my front end, which is already configured here. Protocol, I'm going to use TCP protocol. Port number would be 80 and backend port would be 80. So this would be your source port 80. This would be your backend port. You can customize this configuration. I'm going with the default. Backend pool, my virtual machines, health props. So I have already configured a health prop here. Session persistence. If you remember, I told you that we can configure a sticky connection through 5-hash tuple rule into Azure Load Balancer, where you can use client IP, client IP port, and protocol destination IP and destination port and protocol. That means there would be 5 components which you can use for session persistence for sticky connection, which I'm not going to use right now here. So ideal timeout for your request would be 4 minutes by default. And floating IP address, if you have multiple endpoints, so you can use floating IP addresses. So which I'm not going to use is you going to use here. If you have multiple front end IP addresses on your load balancer, in that case you can use this floating IP configuration. Click on OK. So this will add your load balancing rule. So your load balancer will listen port number 80, which would be source and destination. Once this would be done, so that is also done. Let me show you inbound NAT rule as well. So here you can configure a NAT rule for accessing your load balancers console, RDP, SSH, or other services which you want to access through NAT securely. So this would be NAT, or let me give here RDP1. Front end IP would be this, your load balancer's public IP address. Version would be IPv4. Service, so you can select which service you are going to use through this NAT rule. So I am going to use as namestate RDP. I'm going to select here RDP. Protocol would be TCP. Timeout would be 4 minutes. Port number would be 3389. So target virtual machine, which virtual machine you are going to associate with this NAT rule. I'm going to select web1. Then you need to select IP configuration. You can do custom port mapping, or you can select your target port, which would be 3389, and your source port you can change from here, which could be like 5001, 50001, sorry. So now this would be your custom port for your RDP, and this would be your destination and source port, which you can use whenever you're going to access your virtual machines console through RDP with this NAT rule. So this kind of NAT rule you can configure. I will show you how you will access your virtual machine. Now, what I'm going to do here, as my web application is already configured into my both VMs, so I will use this load balancer's public address, and I will show you how this load balancer will distribute my request to those backends. So I need to check my public IP address. Let me click on it, and let me go to overview. So where it is, front end, load balancer IP address. One second. We need to go to IP addresses, public IP addresses. So there is a PIP1. Let me copy this IP address. So right now address is not assigned to this. Let me copy. If there would be, let me check. No, we do not have address here. So address is not associated to this PIP. Let me check. Might be this will take few seconds, few minutes to show the IP address. So here we have one public IP address. Which is okay. So as you can see, IP address is not assigned. So it will take few minutes to associate that IP address. Once this would be done, we would be able to test our load balancer. Let me add a new front end. Let me create a new first of all, and this would be PIP2. So there's a delay by Azure side. Just because we have already created this PIP1 with basic SKU. So IP address should be available here, which is not right now. So let's check by this IP address assignment. Let me check with PIP B. So LB, refresh. So that is in STR, that is okay. Used by not in use. So we are going to use this front end IP address in my backend. So let me edit my backend. That is okay. Health props. So there is no front end required. Load balancing rule. In load balancing tool, we need to associate our front end. So here I'm going to use PIP LB. Let me change this. Now that is done. So let's go to your overview. Here we have two IP addresses. PIP2 now available here. So now this will take few minutes to show you that IP address which is assigned to your load balancer. Once this would be available, you would be able to send your request. Here you can see in NAT inbound, when your IP address would be available on your front end, you would be able to see your public IP address here as well in your destination. So you need to use that public IP address and this custom port whenever you're going to access your RDP rule. So we have to wait for a few minutes. Till then, what we can do, you can ask your queries, you can raise your queries, and if you want, I can unmute you. So you can type your query into a question section, or you can raise your hand. So I will unmute you one by one, so you all can ask your queries. So yes, we have Magnesh here. I'm going to unmute you, so you need to unmute yourself, Magnesh. Mangesh, sorry. So Mangesh, do you have any query? No. So Mangesh, I'm not getting any query from your side. Yes, Prashad, recorded session would be available on our website. So, or what you can do, you can write a mail to support our team. So this would be available for you. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining this webinar. Go and test these services and do R&D lab practice on these network traffic related topics. And if you are planning to do the course in which these topics are included, so we have Azure Administration AZ104 and Azure Architect AZ303, which you can do. Thank you everyone. Bye bye. Thanks for joining this webinar.